Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. And I'm here with Meghan Hanet, who is the other host of Louisa May 2020. So we thought it would be fun. We're a little over halfway through the year of Louisa May, and we thought it would be interesting to kind of evaluate what our thoughts have been thus far, just to kind of unpack our experience thus far. So I guess, Meghan, your kind of overall general thoughts on your reading, and all of these so far have been rereads for you, correct?
Yeah, they've all been rereads. I think the only one in the whole read-along that I haven't read is A Long Fatal Love Chase. Are we reading that one?
We are. That's
Okay.
next month.
Oh, that's next month. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just haven't read that one. I've read lots of her other sensational novels, but I haven't read that one. So I'm excited. It'll be something new. So
Yeah. Now, what did you think? Now, I know it's a while back when you did read them, but what did you think of her sensation novels before when you read them?
I didn't love them. Like, I was like, this is unbelievable, Louisa May Alcott. Like, what are you doing? Like, and I kind of felt like they were a bit silly, but at the same time, that opinion might have been informed by the fact that in Little Women, Jo March, who is the Louisa May Alcott character, she's writing sensational stories, and it's kind of treated like, oh, now that you've grown up, you've moved past them. So I wonder if I kind of, when I read some of her other sensational stories like 8 years ago, if I kind of approached it like, oh, this is her bad writing, when really maybe it's not. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Oh, that's very interesting. And especially since you've read several like Gothic Victorian novels since then. Yeah, okay. So I don't know if A Long Fatal Love Chase is the sensation novel that I hear about the most. So I don't know if that's because it's supposed to be the best one, or also I think was it true that it was published after her death?
Yeah, I think so. I think it might have been the one where she, like, at some point in her life when she was ill, like this was after Little Women, I think she like went away and stayed in like a hotel for a couple days and just wrote this for fun. I'm not sure if that was this one or another one, but I think it is this one. So, or was that Inheritance? I don't remember.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I don't remember. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think in the Eden's Outcast biography, I'm just now realizing I don't know that if he talked about the inheritance.
Yeah, I don't know if he did. And actually I think it was a modern Mephistopheles that she wrote in the hotel. So I really should have researched this before we started.
Well, that is a wonderful name, a modern Mephistopheles.
Yes.
So then the more books written for little girls, I'll put air quotes there because I don't think they're just for little girls, but yeah. What has your experience been revisiting those?
Yeah, I'm not enjoying them as much as I did when I read them as a little girl, except for Little Women, which for any age group. I always love Little Women. I always think it's a masterpiece, which in North America includes Good Wives, because in the rest of the world they're published separately, but in North America they're published together. I love Little Women, but yeah, the rest of them, like Eight Cousins and Rose and Bloom and Little Men and Joe's Boys, I was like, it's not as good as I remember them to be. So that's been a bit disappointing. But at the same time, it is nice to reread them and be like, oh yeah, that really spoke to me back then.
Yes. Yeah, I think I've kind of been surprised at, what do I want to say? Like, it seems a bit of a juxtaposition between how we know going in, starting off the year with Eden's Outcasts, knowing Louisa's personality and how she wasn't this really like sugary sweet girl. She loved her family and she had a good relationship overall with her family, but she was feisty and fiery. And so to read the books that they do feel, particularly, I think we both thought with I was getting my order mixed up with Little Men, and then with Eight Cousins, kind of moralistic and like, and here's the lesson they're going to learn here. And so I am curious, then you were saying that one sensation novel, you think it's probably not A Long Fatal Love Chase, but the general impression I'm getting is that the sensation fiction is what she wrote for fun. And so I'll be curious next month when we get to A Long Fatal Love Chase to see like what was she doing when she was just writing kind of on a whim, and it wasn't going to be published under her name also. So I think I'm interested in what that will be like. And unfortunately, I don't know if you saw my Friday reads, but
I did.
I know my heart was broken. I started it on Monday, and as soon as I started, I just knew. I was like, I can't. But it's also in defense of Louisa May 2020. It's also my reading focus this week is just really not there. Just life circumstances and everything has really been working against my reading focus. So I think maybe I'm not sure if I would have been in the mood for it, even if I had been in a great reading group, but then that was working against me as well. And I think, yeah, I was extra disappointed because I know you said this is one now that revisiting it, you really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it the first time I read it, but this time reading it, I was like, oh my goodness, Hospital Sketches is like my number 2 now. Like after Little Women, it's my number 2 favorite. And I think partially, yeah, like I think Louisa May Alcott kind of seems to have these 3 genres, which is like the Little Women, like writing for children, and then there's the sensation stories, and then there's the autobiographical pieces, which are Hospital Sketches and Work, a story experience. And I love those pieces. Like, it's just, she had such an amazing life, Louisa May Alcott, like being a nurse in the Civil War, and she did so many other things that I just really love, like the grittiness and the historical context and the political context of Hospital Sketches. And it's very short, but it does kind of start a little bit slow. Like you're like, come on, let's just get to the hospital.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Cause I didn't get past like the first 2 chapters. So maybe I should maybe even just going a few chapters further would really get me in there. And that's interesting too, but also to think about when she wrote Hospital Sketches, because that was before she had any writing career. It was kind of what like kicked it off.
Yeah.
So that seems like she was just writing it just out of pure pleasure. And this is, or I don't know if pleasure is the right word, because it was a very tumultuous time in the United States, but writing out of passion. And I asked for questions on Instagram, and we got one question, and it is a good question though, and it is from Anne from Disney Princess Lessons. So she has a really fun bookstagram, and it's also like a Disneygram. And then she has a channel where she talks about trips to Disney, but also she does some reading vlogs. So Anne says, did you find a common thread in her writing, and why do you think Little Women stands out?
That is a good question.
Yeah. So I guess maybe while you're thinking about your answer, the general thing that I thought was that perseverance is a big value for her, and resilience, and showing kindness to others and caring for others. And so I think it feels kind of forced in some of her books, and that's, I heard other people say in the comments, yeah, it doesn't feel that organic, whereas in Little Women, she just has these characters, which I think they feel so alive because she's basing them on her family. And so the bonds that they have, and the anecdotes that you have just feel very, I thought in general was just her high value of resilience and perseverance.
Yeah, definitely. And I think she really focuses on moral character and like your strength of character and how like good you are. And I think sometimes that works well, like in Little Women, and then in other ways it doesn't. And you're like, it's not all about striving and trying. And
yes.
Yeah, so and family too. Like I think that's a major theme, is family. And I think Little Women in particular does so well because the inspiration is her own family, her own sisters. And so it's really realistic. Like each family member is completely realized because they were real people. But then, in Good Wives, the second part of the woman, she doesn't stick necessarily, she lets her imagination kind of blow apart any constrictions that she might have had, or restrictions. So she's not bound by the truth, but it is grounded in reality. So I think that is so popular.
Yes. Yeah. I also think maybe compassion for those who don't have as much as you do, which you've addressed, and I think it's very apt. You've said it can be a little patronizing sometimes. So it is showing, when it was written, but I think it comes from a good place. So I guess compassion is another thing. So yeah, I like that, the common thread in her writing. I think that's an interesting thing to think about with any author that you love. So yeah, I think in general, I've been disappointed just by the books. Obviously not hosting with you. This has been lovely. But I think I just like a bit more sharpness and a bit more bite in my book. Yes, Little Women has definitely stood out, and it's both our favorites, I'm guessing, out of this project. Yes. So I guess my general thoughts about the books to come, the two in particular that I am still very excited about them, are Work, because I remember you saying that was one that stood out to you when you read through her books for the first time. And then the next one, next month's A Long Fatal Love Chase, also because I could just use something really plot driven and gritty right now. So I'm imagining it, I'm picturing the play that Jo March puts on in Little Women. That's like what I'm picturing this book being like.
Yeah, it's a lot like that. Yeah. Well, actually, I haven't read this one. I shouldn't say that. Some of her other sensational stories are a lot like that.
Yes. Yeah, you have you do have some background in reading her sensation novels, so you can make an educated guess that that's what it will be like.
Yes.
So shall we look at the book covers?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. So I just sent Megan in an email all of the book covers that I thought would be interesting for us to look at. So hopefully technology is going to work with us, and you will be seeing these as we are talking about them. Otherwise, it would be rather boring. So the first cover, this is 150th anniversary edition of Little Women. And this looks to me like an original cover, but I don't know if it is.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, but I think, and there's several in this group of pictures that we're going to look at that have this same style of just printed directly on the hardback. And I find a real elegance to it, like just less is more kind of. I really like this one.
Yeah, I really like the flowers framing the picture, like how minimalistic it is, but like I like the contrast of the pink standing out with the green. And then I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of the yellow that they're wearing, but yeah, it's like a little bit too much, but it's also an interesting choice too. So
it is, yeah, it's kind of a little random. So then the next one is another Little Women cover, and what I thought is special about this is how it has it's really pulling the Pilgrim's Progress analogy and showing them with their burdens. And I do think burdens, kind of carrying along with your burdens, goes along with the resilience theme. So I do think, although it doesn't show them kind of, maybe their personalities don't look that distinct on this cover, I do appreciate pulling that theme. I think it's a really neat theme, and especially because Louisa, like the Outcasts, were just obsessed with Pilgrim's Progress. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's not as like pretty, but it doesn't have to be pretty. It's I really like the font, and just like, yeah, it shows the groundedness of Little Women.
Yes, definitely. And the next one, this one has a lot going on in it. And what I love is apparently it cost 1 shilling. Now, also what's confusing is it says Little Women by the author of Good Wives. But I'm guessing this was printed, this was like a second or third or fourth printing. And so I don't know, but it's called the Lily series. So I guess it was, in a series of books for little girls.
Yeah, that mixture of orange and brown, I'm not a huge fan of that. Kind of 70s in a way, but obviously it's not 70s. But I do like the font of Little Women. I think that's neat.
I do like that font and how there is some floral detail in the biggest letters. I'm not always opposed to a classic book cover looking like the era that it's being printed in, but I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like Little Women, I guess.
Yeah, the same with this edition that I have. Yeah, this came out in the 40s, and the hairstyle is very much like a 40s look. Like it.
I still love that though.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I love this. I love this edition so much. But yeah, it's definitely of its time.
Yes, yeah. Now that makes me think of like the June Allison film. So
yeah.
And then another one. This is like, I mean, maybe 50s or 60s. I'm not sure. But you know what's funny is I didn't even notice until I looked at it this time that there's two kittens trying to get to the top of the table.
All their faces look kind of distorted from the light. They all look kind of ghoulish.
I was just going to use the word ghoulish. And then the next cover is the edition that is from the newest film, which now I didn't research this at all, and I should have done my homework beforehand. It just looks so much like an edition that would have come out then. Do you know at all if it is?
I don't know, but yeah, I thought the same thing. Like I thought it might have been from when it actually came out.
Yes, I did really love that part in the 2019 film where she gets to see the book printed. And it's so beautiful seeing, this is, books before like huge factory. So or maybe it's just that it's at a small press, but seeing it being stitched in so carefully and in the gold foil stamp, it's very satisfying to watch. Then we have this one, which is a more modern cover, and I think I like this. I know it's a little like avant-garde, and again, now just realizing another thing I only just now noticed is the Norman Rockwell painting there in the bottom corner. But this silhouette thing, I've seen this used in a couple Jane Eyre covers, and I don't know like if this will age well or not, but I just like it.
Yeah, like it's a beautiful piece of artwork. I think the only thing I don't like about it is how long her eyelashes are, because like nobody's eyelashes are that long naturally.
That's a very valid point. Yes, that's very true. Yeah, so I like that one. It's kind of random, but I like it. I think it looks like maybe an ebook cover. Now this next one, it's like a bunch of props, and I really like that because one of my pet peeves with classic book covers are just like generic looking women, and it has like nothing to do with the book whatsoever. And so this is a refreshing, like kind of different take on it. And yeah.
And each little prop means something, like the big sunbonnet that Lori dares her to wear, even though it's out of fashion, and the candles and the skates, and
yes.
Yeah. I have,
if they made like a Little Women charm bracelet, these are like the things that would need to go on it.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry,
I was just going to say I have a similar thing with this book, Rilla of Ingleside. I think they do them in the whole series, but like each little prop on there means something in particular from the story. So it's like really special. So yeah, it's neat.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's really neat. This one I'm not a fan of. It looks very like 70s. I like all the colors in it.
Yeah, the color scheme is nice.
And it's like fairly naturalistic, but I don't know, something about the faces it's like have kind of this lost look to them. Yeah, so, but it's not awful. It's not like terrible. Okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say they're all, like, 3 of them are blonde, and only one of them is supposed to be blonde. And they're wearing big hats, and big hats are not fashionable.
Yes, absolutely. That's so fun. I forgot that about big hats not being fashionable, but you said that specifically about the beach hat as well, that it wouldn't have been fashionable.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, this is what I definitely don't like. This is like Little Red Riding Hood meets Little Women. This is just odd. It's very, very odd.
And she looks afraid, or like her face is just weird.
It is, and like she's using a broom in the snow, and like there's just so much. This is like, it looks like a Russian fairy tale. And there's only one it should be like little lonely frostbitten woman. Like it's I don't know what is going on there. Okay, and then the next one, this I think I saw on a website that you shared with me. This is a Barnes and Noble classic edition. And I kind of like these classics, and Barnes and Noble does this. And I mean, there are a fair number of companies that publish classics that publish it as like a throwback to how classics, maybe the covers used to look. So I think the royal purple with the gold is really eye-catching.
Yeah, and then again, like each little prop means something in the corners. Like there's a book, and there's the clothespin that Amy would always put on her nose to straighten her nose, and then there's the gloves, like Meg's gloves, and there's a doll where, you know, Beth had her doll hospital. So it's like, yeah, it's very specific. Like whoever designed the cover knew the book.
Yes. Yeah, I like that when you can tell that they know the book. Then we have this 8 Cousins cover. And I guess in general, I really like this. Sometimes I get put off by classic book covers that are very clearly just aimed at women. But then again, reading 8 Cousins, I don't know. Like, I feel like Anne of Green Gables, so many boys could enjoy Anne of Green Gables. And 8 Cousins, I'm not sure. So I don't think I can necessarily fault a cover if it's an 8 Cousins cover if it's more aimed at girls.
Yeah, it is very like sweet looking, which 8 Cousins is. So it's a good representation of what the book is, because it's so sweet that it's like almost too sweet, and 8 Cousins is sweet. So.
Yes, I agree. Okay, then this one looks to me like a foreign edition almost, this next Rose and Bloom one. I don't really have much to say about this.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just, it is. Something about too the turquoise with the orange. Like, I'm not always opposed to orange, but something about it just makes it extra, you know, it's really there. You really notice that orange font.
Yeah, and these pen and ink drawings, it looks like they just look so weird. The texture of their hair and the proportions are off, and it's just look gross, especially the way he's standing with his hand there. I don't know, I just don't like
His
it.
like round face. I think it almost looks like dot drawings. Do you know dot drawings?
Yeah.
That's almost what it looks like.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Very odd. Does not get 2 thumbs up for me. And then this next one looks like a French novel.
Madame Bovary or something.
Yeah, it does. It does not, like, I don't think we're ever meant to picture characters from Louisa May Alcott or characters in Rose and Bloom in their undergarments. It just does not seem like a part of the storyline.
Yeah, at one point Rose is reading these French novels and she's ashamed of them and hides them from her uncle because they're quite sexually explicit, and so this looks like a novel that Rose would not be allowed to read.
It totally, absolutely does. Okay, now this hospital sketches cover, I think this is a very, like, this shows it. I don't think it looks too romantic. Like, the soldier does not look terribly comfortable, but I'm not sure if the clothing looks like what an American Civil War nurse would have worn. This looks almost more like World War I.
Yeah, I don't know about the American army, but like in the British and Canadian army in World War I, the women had like veils, like they almost looked like nuns.
Oh.
But yeah, this doesn't look Civil War. This doesn't look right, but
yeah. So, I mean, I guess it gets points for being an injured soldier and a nurse, but, and then this next one looks much more, I think, possibly what it would have looked like. And I like how there's the little painting of Abe Lincoln up there for context. Yeah, I mean, it's not a very eye-catching cover, but then I don't know if something like, I don't know how alluring a cover should be about someone's experience serving as a Civil War nurse. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's nice that she's standing there, like she's looking like she's comforting or protecting, and she is standing because she's busy. So But then
Yeah.
it is kind of weird the way where Abe Lincoln's face is in the picture. Like it almost looks like he is a headless person in the room. Like it seems like the painting should just be over a little bit, over to the side of it.
Yes. Yeah, I see what you mean. Then this next cover is like Hospital Sketches, the horror edition.
Oh yeah, this one.
Very, very weird.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
This does not at all represent Hospital Sketches.
Yeah, because then I was like, is it possible, because I haven't read it, does she think there's a ghost there at one point? But no.
No. Yeah, it looks like, it reminds me almost like of like the Holocaust, like what the people look like.
Yes.
But it's not like, I can't take it seriously like I would with the Holocaust, because the way the hand is, and then the eyes, it just looks so weird.
It really does. It's truly odd. Truly odd. I don't know who drew that, and did they by any chance actually read Hospital Sketches? I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not. So then we have a cover for A Long Fatal Love Chase. I mean, I'm kind of neutral on this. I think it looks appropriate for a sensation novel, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because I haven't read it yet. Like, it doesn't look that appealing to me, but like the writing is just taking up a lot of the page, and I would want to see more of the picture, but it's just a lot going on.
Okay, then I could not help sharing this ebook cover. This is like Louisa May Alcott meets vampires. And what I love is not only is said male vampire holding a rose, he is also holding a violin.
That is so bad.
And they're in the desert, but by a Gothic English village.
It looks like a city, like New York or something in the background.
You're right. Yeah, it's not a village. It's totally a city. You're right. Oh my goodness. Yes, it was just something else.
Yeah, this is probably my least favorite one.
Yes, I think they do it to pull in people, who haven't read it. I love the cover for Work, because it is an older painting of a woman, but it does not look generic. Like there's a story to this painting, and she does look, the girl looks tired. And so I think I haven't read Work yet. We're going to, but it seems like it is in line with kind of the overlying theme of Work.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And it's such a gorgeous painting, and it's like a striking image, her facial expression, and it just, I mean, it's not easy with a lot of art, so yeah, it's really good.
Yes. She looks like she's has kind of the weight of the world on her. So I think I like this one for Old Fashioned Girl. This looks like a Art Nouveau type style painting. I really like it though. I'm sure maybe a fashion expert could say, I don't know if certain hairstyles or things aren't accurate, but I guess overall I like it.
Yeah, I like it. She's busy doing something, and all of Louisa May Alcott's characters, at least the good ones, are always busy doing something. They're never idle. So I like that. And I like the colors, it's very warm looking. But then the cool tone dress. So I really like it.
Yes. Yeah. Now this is, another Under the Lilacs, and it has lilacs on it. I always never know if I should say lilacs or lilacs. My dad always has said lilacs, and we always are like, he says lilacs. But then I feel like lilac sounds exaggerated also.
Yeah, I've never heard lilacs before, but I usually say lilacs like that, under the lilacs.
Oh,
but I have heard lilacs before too, so.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it's a word often people just mumble through.
Yeah.
After reading Eden's Outcasts, it talked about how she had mercury poisoning, which they cured her of. Can you help me out? Which fever was it that she had?
Typhoid.
She had typhoid fever. And what was the name of the medication that they used that had mercury in it?
Oh, I can't remember. What was it? I've got
But
Steve's Outcasts
yeah,
here.
so it wasn't like, I don't think they gave her like straight up mercury, but it was a medication that had it in it. And so then she had chronic illness for the rest of her life and slowly died of mercury poisoning. So I was just very convinced that was the only, like, it was mercury poisoning. But then before we met to do this, I was Googling, I wanted to see something basically about chronic illness representation in her books, because that is something, I'll do a little rabbit trail now, that I have appreciated about her books, is showing people kind of just living and carrying on even when they have chronic illness. And so I think that's just something that's like very personal to me now. And so I've really appreciated that. And to show that, you know, you don't have another choice. You just have to keep doing it. You have to get out of bed every day. And even when it's really hard, maybe, you know, do less, budget your energy, as people say, but just very encouraging. And to know that Louisa May herself lived through that. And Elizabeth Gaskell herself, I found out after reading her biography, had really terrible chronic health issues, and she wrote amazing books. So as discouraging as it can be to have chronic illness, any form of chronic illness, it's also encouraging to hear about people can just still do amazing things. So in Googling, though, I will just read this snippet. It says, so at the time, mercury, a dangerous toxin, was widely used for a host of ailments. And the website I'm reading this from is Deseret.com. I had never heard of it, but I will make sure to link this article in the description down below. So she, as a historical patient, Alcott made a tempting figure. Her journals and letters were filled with detailed accounts of her suffering, headaches, weariness, nerve pain, digestive problems. Greaves, who is the person who's writing this article, the doctor who did the research, who knows a fair amount about mercury poisoning, studied her symptoms, and they didn't add up. She had none of the telltale signals, rage, outbursts, or signs of tremor in her handwriting, which is very interesting. They said they think now that's what Abe Lincoln had, because he did have those very intense mood swings and the tremor in his handwriting. So to him, it seemed more like an immune system disorder. Then he saw the 1870 portrait that's kept at the Alcott Museum, Orchard House in Concord, Massachusetts. There was the distinctive butterfly rash, a pinkish hue across Alcott's cheeks and nose that often accompanies lupus. Lupus is an immune disease that often mimics other illnesses, according to experts. It can damage the heart, kidneys, and other organs and cause nerve pain, digestive problems, and other symptoms. So he says we can do no more than speculate, but lupus experts think it's very possible she may have had lupus. So maybe the typhoid fever triggered the lupus. I don't know. And, you know, we'll never know 100%. But I guess in a way that, this sounds weird, but people still struggle with lupus today. So I guess I felt a little bit consoled, like if it was just mercury poisoning, I feel like if only she had lived today, that wouldn't have happened. But maybe if it was lupus, she would have had lupus today. And I think people with lupus, unfortunately, they really struggle with, you know, quality of life. So I just found that interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think it's so cool how, I mean, it's sad, it's awful that back then, you know, they're struggling with this illness and they don't know what's going on. But I think it's really cool how doctors can look back on history and be like, oh, they probably had this thing. Like, this makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it's kind of this, it's like a mystery that gets to be unlocked, sort of. Yeah. And I think just when you read about so many figures from history, they were sick a lot and in pain a lot. And I'm just thinking, I'm just so thankful for like modern dental care, to not have like throbbing tooth pain, which, I mean, that can happen sometimes, but you get relief eventually. It's not something you just have to live with for years. So yes, very interesting. So now we're coming to a conclusion with our discussion, but I am so excited, and hopefully, as long as, you know, we mind our P's and Q's, this will be up before June 6th, which is when our movie night is going to be. So please join us. We will be watching The Inheritance, and I will link the announcement video for that down below, just so you can see which it is. And if you are having trouble finding access to it, just send us a message on Instagram, or if you don't have Instagram, leave a comment here, and we can hook you up, help you figure out how to watch it. And yeah, I'm very excited. So I think we'll just leave it at that. Did you have any other thoughts or anything you wanted to add?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot. That was really good because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say. And then it was like, as we were talking, it just came. So
yes, we are kindred spirits. So we are able easily to kind of bounce our ideas off one another.
Yes.